10 most likely industries that can make you a billionaire. Before we start, I would want you to hit that red subscribe button so that you never miss out on any of our videos. In other words, the industries that are most likely to give you access to this elite group. So stick with me until the end of our countdown, and you'll find out which industry takes the number 1 spot. And you'll also get to hear some insider tips into where these industries will be heading in the coming years. So without further ado, let's get some inspiration and look at the 10 most likely industries that can make you a billionaire. Number 10. Engineering. 4% of billionaires come from this sector, and to join them, basically, you'll need to design a piece of engineering wizardry that can solve a problem that nobody's addressed before. One that's clever enough to disrupt an entire sector of the market. A case in point is James Dyson, who invented the world's first bagless vacuum cleaner. And since then, he's branched out to a range of other appliances, including washing machines and hand dryers. And thanks to these pieces of savvy engineering, he's worth $16 billion, making him the UK's richest individual. If you've got an idea that's smart enough, and the know-how to see it through to completion, you could even do it without any formal qualifications in engineering.
These solenoid valves open to let the water flow through into our detergent drawer. The detergent is washed down through this pipe and into the drum.
Number 9. Media and entertainment. 4% of billionaires. People will always want to be entertained. Music, films, TV, computer games, YouTube channels, good old-fashioned reading, or whatever forms of entertainment people dream up in the future. These are always going to be a big part of our lives, so it shouldn't come as a surprise that 4% of billionaires made their money in this field. And social media means that if you're an entertainer, it's never been easier to create a platform to brand yourself.
Thanks a lot. Talk about a success story. This Swedish entrepreneur was employed by King. This is now personally worth roughly $1.3 billion according to Forbes, and spends his money on traveling, technology, and expensive mansions.
Number 8. Energy. 4% of billionaires. For a long time, this has been one of the surest ways to get wealthy. In the early days of modern economy, many of the super rich made their fortunes in energy, like oil tycoon John D. Rockefeller. And 4% of today's billionaires come from this sector. And we all consume energy, so this isn't likely to change. What will change is the type of energy we consume, and the boom sector in the near future is bound to be renewable energy. The world's becoming greener out of necessity. Besides, renewable energy is cheaper, and unlike oil or gas, it's unlimited in supply. They don't call it renewable for nothing. Solar is the fastest growing energy source. It now contributes less than 1% of the world's energy needs, but it's expected to increase to between 5 and 20 in the next few years. Number 7. Fashion. 5% of billionaires. You may not have guessed that the fashion industry is such a heavy hitter, but think about it, and it makes perfect sense. Clothing is more than just a basic necessity. We're happy to spend money so we can wear something that makes us look good. And for a lot of people, one of the biggest motivations for putting in long hours is to be able to splash out on some high-end branded goods at the weekend. Also factor in that successful designers can make huge markups. That's because fashion items are priced by their perceived value, more than the cost of the commodities, or real differentiation with other brands. Number 6. Healthcare. 6% of billionaires. Of course, one of the most basic needs is to stay healthy, and we can pay huge amounts of money on it, whether directly on health bills, through taxes, or on health insurance. A large portion of the money makes its way to the bank balances of 6% of the world's billionaires. And it's no surprise that the pandemic has lifted more people in this industry up to billionaire status. And sure, being a doctor can make you wealthy, but billionaire? Probably not. The real potential for a 10-digit bank balance is the pharmaceutical industry, or designing innovative medical devices, or founding a chain of private hospitals or clinics. At the top end of the world's super rich in healthcare is taken mostly by owners of pharma companies, with 5 of the top 10 spots being occupied by Chinese billionaires, but with other players on the list from US, Germany, Switzerland, and India. If you've got the know-how and the drive, you can make waves in the industry wherever you're from. Number 5. Retail. 6.5% of billionaires. Whether we do it online or whether we do it the old-fashioned way, in bricks and mortar shops, we'll need to keep on buying stuff one way or the other. So it's no wonder that this takes a high place on the list, accounting for 6.5% of billionaires. Keep in mind that it'll probably produce fewer billionaires in the future. That's because most billionaires in this sector are heirs to fortunes that were built up over a long period of time, like the 7 numbers of the Walton family, heirs to the Walmart fortune. Number 4. Food and beverage. 8% of billionaires. Whatever's happening in the world will always need to eat and drink. And currently, around 8% of the world's billionaires come from a food and drink background. To become one of them, you'll have to figure out novel ways of producing food or preparing and distributing it. People on the super rich list in this field include heirs to fortunes, including members of the Mars and Heineken families. But there are also quite a few self-made billionaires in this group, like Thailand's Danin Sharavanant, who expanded his father's chicken seed shop into a farming empire worth $15 billion. Number 3. Tech and business services. 9% of billionaires. Whatever the sector of the economy, nowadays it relies on tech. Businesses use it to do transactions, to communicate their message to the public, for distribution and logistics, and so much more. And of course, our private lives depend on tech too, to be entertained, to chat, to shop, or to hail a rideshare. And 9% of billionaires made their fortunes in tech. If that number is going to change, it's probably going to go upwards. New software and hardware is being developed and making previous versions obsolete faster than ever. Number 2. Real estate. 9% of billionaires. So there's little wonder that huge amounts of money can be made in real estate, with 9% of billionaires today belonging to this industry. There are several paths to do it. You can start off as a real estate agent, or you can set up a construction firm, or be a supplier of construction materials. Of course, most of Donald Trump's fortune is in real estate. Although his slightly over $2 billion fortune is in a patch on the likes of other American real estate moguls like Stephen Ross with $7.6 billion, or Donald Brent with $16.4 billion. Number 1. Banking and finance. 15% of billionaires. Think of any hugely successful company in any industry. Behind the success, there was somebody who knew exactly how to deploy money and then grow it. And thanks to their investment choices, they didn't just make that company a success, they also grew their own wealth big time. That's all for today. I hope you liked the video. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so that you never miss any amazing video from us.